Salut à tous, on se retrouve avant la tour du résumé de WRC 2003. Ça fait 9 ans que la série existe. Je vous remercie de suivre la chaîne depuis 9 ans. Enfin, depuis 2017. Enfin bon, c'est pas grave, mais les années à venir, ça va être très intéressant. Enfin, s'il se trouve des concepts intéressants pour les prochaines années, j'espère bien. Mais enfin bon, vu que c'est l'élément de la scène et que pour fêter ça, c'est décidé de mettre la review de la saison 2003 du WRC. C'est une saison très passionnante avant la domination de ces passables les années qui précèdent. Donc, je vous laisse avec la review de la saison 2003 du WRC. Je vous dis à tes prochaines vidéos. Je vous dis à ça.
The 2003 WRC is an unforgettable journey around 14 countries and 4 continents. It's the arena for the fastest, toughest, roughest clash of man and machine against the elements. It's 3 days of hard driving where skill, stamina and strength are key to surviving the most hostile environments on Earth.
Marco, where are you?
Marcus Grönholm is world champion. Grönholm ran away with the title last year, but this season there's a new point system, and it could mean a break on Grönholm's success. This year the top 8 finishers will lead with points. There's plenty of great opposition who'll be hoping to keep Grönholm back and take the 2003 crown for themselves. The Finn's Peugeot teammate Richard Burns was the 2001 world champion, and he'd love to get it back, but he'll have a fight on his hands. French rivals Citroën start their first full season in the WRC with a lineup that reads like a who's who of rallying. Colin McRae and Carlos Sainz have an incredible 49 World Rally wins between them, and they join rising star Sébastien Loeb. There was shocking news from Carlos Sainz, who joined Citroën minus co-driver Luis Moya, breaking a formidable 15-year partnership. Mark Marty has the awesome task of filling Luis's shoes. The departure of Colin and Carlos leaves Ford with the youngest driver lineup ever. At just 27 years of age, Marco Martin is the team leader. But if you think Marco's young, what about his teammate Francois Duval? He's just 22. Subaru start the brand new season with a brand new car. They're hoping a state-of-the-art spoiler, changes to the suspension and engine will give Tommi Mäkinen and Petter Solberg a championship-winning car. Hyundai were over the moon with their 4th place finish in the manufacturers' race last year, but are optimistic of even better results. Once more the task falls to Armin Schwartz and Freddie Leutz. And finally, Skoda have underlined their commitment to the WRC with a 3-year plan and have persuaded 1994 world champion Didier Auriol to join Tony Gardemeister. And once more, there'll be a new car later in the season. As ever, the season kicks off in Monte Carlo. Run since 1911, this is the oldest and most prestigious rally. Victory here means entry to rallying's Hall of Fame. High in the Alps, the winters are savage. The stages are covered in ice and snow, and it's treacherous going through the hundreds of twists and turns. First to fall in the mountains was Skoda's Tony Gardemeister. And it was ice that put an end to Freddie Leutz's Monty. But his Hyundai teammate Armin Schwartz had no worries. He finished in the points. Tommy Mackinnon's chances of his 5th consecutive Monte Carlo win disappeared when he lost his front brakes. Bad news on the icy roads. He battled on in vain, but retirement followed on stage 5. Peter Solberg couldn't carry the Subaru charge either. He also retired on the same stage. Marco Martin showed some strong form early on, but Ford's new number 1 couldn't keep up with the pace of the front-runners Citroën and Peugeot. He escaped this near miss to finish 4th. But it wasn't pre-rally favourite Gilles Panizzi who was setting fastest times. He eventually retired due to ill health. And it wasn't 2001 world champion Richard Burns who was laying down the gauntlet. It was world champion Marcus Gronholm who came out fighting. Making a great start to his title defence, he set a string of fastest times and laid down the challenge to Citroën. Colin McRae took to his new car straight away. From the very beginning, he was on for a podium finish. Despite this bump, Carlos Sainz wasn't too far behind. But despite all the experience of Citroën's new signings, it was their youngest driver, Sébastien Loeb, who really took the fight to Gronholm. The Frenchman learned his trade on these roads. He was totally unfazed by the icy conditions, started setting blisteringly fast times, and before long, he'd snatched the lead from Gronholm. Stuck in a Citroën sandwich, perhaps the pressure was getting to the world champion. The uncharacteristic error was costly. Gronholm's badly damaged wheel dropped him out of contention and out of the points. A bad start to his title defence. Leaving the way clear for Citroën. Loeb took victory, with McRae and Sainz completing a clean sweep on the podium. The French team had made an incredible debut in their first full season in the WRC. With just 1 round gone, it's Sébastien Loeb who's leading the championship, with his Citroën teammates just behind. Sweden next, and deep in the forests of Värmland, the wide-flowing stages are covered with thick ice and lined by snowbanks. Most drivers would approach with caution. But not WRC drivers. Here they go at 1 speed only, flat out. Driving on snow in Sweden demands special tyres and a very special skill. One wrong move and... Sébastien Loeb came out determined to hold on to his championship lead. He set the fastest time on the first stage, but it was short-lived. The slippery conditions got the better of him and he slid down the leaderboard. Colin McRae wasn't having a great day either. Another Citroën, another spin. Carlos Sainz had a difficult rally in Sweden. His was the only Citroën to finish out of the points. There were no worries for Ford's new number 1 driver, Marco Martin. He's proving more than a match for the WRC's more experienced drivers. For the 2nd rally in a row, he finished 4th. Harry Rovanperä has only ever won 1 rally. That was here in 2001. But a freak accident denied him this time. Unaware that the spectators were warning him to slow down, Rovanperä smashed his Peugeot into Juuso Pikalisto's stranded car. Luckily, no one was hurt, but Rovanperä was forced to retire. Marcus Gronholm was flying and much faster than all his rivals. But there were scary moments. He hit this hole hard and damaged his steering, but it didn't slow him down. Leading from the front, Gronholm proved that he has what it takes to hold on to his title. Tommy Mackinnon was on blistering form. He was 2nd. Rallying on Sweden's snow is fast and fun, and Richard Burns was loving it. His efforts would be rewarded with a podium place. So confirmation of the WRC Rally Sweden result. Grönholm wins from Mäkinen and Burns. Loeb and McRae find themselves at the top of the championship leaderboard, and Grönholm's first score of the season sees the title race really hotting up. Round 3 WRC Rally Turkey is a totally new event. Turkey is a country that most of us know as a holiday destination, and Antalya is one of the country's biggest resorts. But for rally drivers, this is no holiday. Sebastian Loeb was first out onto the stages on day 1. But despite negotiating his way through the gravel, he was destined to retire. Sebastian and co-driver Daniel Eleanor got lost and ran out of fuel. The car stranded and they get no points. But there's still joint championship leader Colin McRae and Carlos Sainz to fight on for the French team, and with all their rivals suffering problems, it was looking good for Citroën. First out of the way was Marcus Grönholm. Peugeot's power steering just couldn't keep up with this pounding. The world champion slipped so far down the leaderboard, he asked to go home, but the team said no.
I do not have a power steering.
Tommy Mäkinen was going great guns too until his car decided it couldn't take any more. First the shocks give up, then the electronics. The Finn is devastated. Now he's fighting for a point. It was the rough roads that would prove to be Petter Solberg's downfall too. Not a great start to Solberg's season, with 2 retirements in the first 3 rallies. Harry Rovanperä was leading the rally when his 206 gave way to the rough conditions. His suspension shattered. His emergency repairs were in vain, and it was retirement for the Finn.
2 kilometers.
Hyundai's challenge was being led by Armin Schwartz until his car set alight. 2 times world champion Didier Auriol would also have a hard time on the brand new rally. His Skoda couldn't make it to service. The second rally in a row, it was no points for the Frenchman. Out of trouble and on the podium was Ford's Francois Duval. So the story of this rally was sit back and wait for the others to fall, and that's just what Carlos Sainz did. The veteran rally driver used all his experience to guide his Citroën through the rough gravel without trouble. And for the first time in over a year, the Spaniard claimed victory. It was similar tactics for Richard Burns. The Englishman took second, and that was enough to take the lead in the championship. The first ever WRC Rally Turkey was a thriller. 18 stages of hell for the drivers and pure delight for Carlos Sainz. Next up, New Zealand. Cars, equipment, drivers, engineers, mechanics, the whole WRC travels over 12,000 miles from their European bases to the country's North Island, where 22 super fast stages radiate from the rally base in Auckland. New Zealand saw the debut of the much-awaited and much-talked-about brand-new Ford Focus. And Marco Martin set about showing everyone that there was a brand-new challenger for the title. He set 3 fastest stage times and was chasing victory when disaster struck. The engine ground to a halt, a disappointing end, but there's no doubt there's a new force to be reckoned with. This was the first time the Citroëns have been to New Zealand, and it wasn't to be a great rally for Colin McRae or Carlos Sainz. McRae really got off to a bad start when his windscreen missed it up in the rain. Then he hit a bank. The suspension's gone, and the Scots rally was over. Carlos Sainz went off the road and into a ditch. The bank was just too steep for the Citroën to climb out. The detour through the field cost him nearly 15 minutes. No retirement, but no points either for the former world champion. Leaving Sebastian Loeb the best of the Citroens again. He finished fourth, a great boost to his title chances. A number of rallying superstars also hit trouble. On day one, Tommy Mäkinen was off colour and off the pace. On day two, he was on the throttle a little too much. Local police caught him speeding on the way to a stage. He got a ticket and a 5-minute time penalty. But it was Armin Schwartz and Harry Rovanperä who made the most spectacular exits. Schwartz rolled his Hyundai, and this is what Harry did to his Peugeot. Luckily, both Harry and his co-driver walked away unscathed. Both Skodas finished with Tony Gardemeister's fifth, his best of the season so far.
20.
Petter Solberg was having a great time despite some heart-stopping moments.
Come on!
His efforts were rewarded with third place and his first podium place of the season. Richard Burns' last rally win came in New Zealand in 2001. He wasn't destined to repeat that this year, but second place was enough to hold on to the championship lead. But there was no doubt as to who was the king of New Zealand. Marcus Grönholm grabbed the lead from the very start and pulled so far away from his rivals, he could even get away with this.
Quick, no, on the wheels! Turn it, go! Very good!
As soon as the wheels hit the ground, he drives on to victory.
Alpine deep one.
Confirmation then that Grönholm wins from Richard Burns and Petter Solberg, with Didier Auriol claiming the final point for Skoda in 8th. Round 5 of the World Rally Championship brings the cars, drivers and teams to South America for a rally that's as dramatic as its setting. This is Argentina. The competition is based northwest of Buenos Aires in Cordoba. With its soft gravel surface and water splashes, Rally Argentina is a high-speed, high-altitude, high-risk event that will have you on the edge of your seat. The first casualty of the rough stages was Freddie Loix. 2003's not been a good season for the Belgian. Engine failure in Argentina means he still has no points. There were scary moments for his Hyundai teammate Armin Schwartz too. The burning inferno in the middle of the road is what's left of Colin McRae's Citroen. It was a bizarre exit for the Scot, and it's yet another setback to his championship chances. Tommy Mäkinen's season continued to decline. He hit trouble when he was forced to drive with only second gear. He lost 7 minutes and all hope of winning. In the other Subaru, Petter Solberg rolled. But he made a great comeback to finish in the points. But it was Marcus Grönholm who made the comeback of the season. On the first day, he built up a healthy lead when a rock on the road smashed his suspension. He finished the stage with the wheel hanging off. It slipped down to 6th, with his chances of victory severely dented. Undeterred, he set his sights on catching the men in front. First, he caught and passed Sebastian Loeb. Next of all was Harry Rovanperä. His biggest rival, Richard Burns, conceded third place at the end of day 2. Now all he needed to do was catch Marco Martin and Carlos Sainz, who were standing between the world champion and victory. Carlos Sainz was in the lead and loving it, and catching him seemed an almost impossible task. But there was a mix-up at service. Sainz went in too early, a bitter blow for the Spaniard, as he was handed a 1-minute time penalty. Through no fault of his own, he lost the lead and fell to third. The rally had a new leader, Marco Martin. Once again, this brand new Ford Focus was very fast and very impressive. If he just made it through the day, he'd be on for his first ever WRC victory. But once again, the Focus hit trouble.
The engine is broken.
For the second rally in a row, Martin retired with engine failure. In an event that demanded 100% from the world's greatest rally drivers, it's Marcus Grönholm who was the star. His climb up the leaderboard saw him finish 26 seconds faster than his rivals. So yet again, Grönholm wins, while a good performance from Skoda sees both drivers finish in the points. Burns' podium finish is enough to keep him ahead in the championship, but Grönholm's cut his lead down to just 2 points. Named after the world-famous Acropolis in Athens, Greece's round of the World Rally Championship is one of the most famous endurance events in the sport. This is a rally of attrition, where rough rocks and high speeds combine to make it hard to survive and even harder to win. Hyundai were first to find out just how hard the Acropolis is. On the first stage, Armin Schwartz stopped with a broken alternator. And just one stage later, Freddie Loix had suspension problems. He was so slow, he was caught by Ford's Mikko Hirvonen. Loix retired at the end of the stage. Buoyed by his recent form on gravel, Sebastian Loeb was determined to get some good points here. But an engine problem denied him the chance. He was out on stage 1. Colin McRae had difficulty firing up his engine. It led to a hefty 50-second time penalty and was too much to claw back. The Scot finished 8th. Grönholm's winning streak came to an abrupt end at the end of day 1. With all the stages safely tackled, Grönholm was returning to service when suddenly his engine stopped. No oil pressure and no points, worrying times for the reigning champion. Francois Duval had flourished on the rough stuff in Turkey and was going fast in Greece, maybe a little too fast. There was no way the Ford was getting out of this ditch. Ever since he got behind the wheel of his brand new Ford Focus, Marco Martin's been threatening to take victory. But for a man who's had his fair share of drama, Martin was to experience one of the most bizarre incidents of the season. He was in the lead when his bonnet flipped up. Martin was forced to drive blind for over 20 kilometres. But it didn't break his concentration. He held on to the lead. Behind Martin, there was a fight going on for the other 2 podium places. Carlos Sainz was second. It almost let Petter Solberg in. Solberg always pushes to the limit, and sometimes that means scary moments. This time, he couldn't catch Sainz. Not fighting with anyone, Richard Burns was happy to keep out of trouble and hold on to 4th place and the championship lead. And there was no more trouble for Marco Martin either. A superb drive finally proved that the combination of Martin and the new Focus is formidable. It was a worthy debut win for Estonia's rising star.
Good man, Marco. Well done.
Martin's win means there's a new challenger to add to the list of title hopefuls. His championship's wide open. The WRC 2003 hits its halfway mark on the hottest, twistiest gravel ordeal of the season. This is round 7, Rally Cyprus. Drivers are forced to tiptoe through an unrelenting succession of corners that drag speeds down and push up temperatures. Overheating of man and machine is a very real problem. Brimming with confidence, Marco Martin came to Cyprus determined to continue his charge, but the stages were so dry, dust got into his engine and his oil pressure dropped.
It's the same thing that we had in Argentina. To the right, Hale.
On the same stage, with the same problem, Duval was stranded too. It was dust that caused Freddie Loix's engine to fail too, but Armin Schwartz would bring home some points for Hyundai. Cyprus was the last outing for the Skoda Octavia, and it wasn't a great goodbye. Tony Gardemeister crashed, and an electronic problem saw Didier Auriol retire. There was bad news for Tommi Mäkinen. His steering was badly damaged, but he did go on, only to retire with a broken wheel on day 2. Last year, Marcus Gronholm and Richard Burns were first and second on this rally. The same result here would be a great boost to both their drivers and manufacturers' title chances. But Marcus Gronholm wasn't to repeat his victory. A broken prop shaft put an end to his charge. That's 2 rallies and 2 retirements for the reigning world champion. It's consistency that put Richard Burns on top of the championship. He'd scored in every round so far, but there was a hiccup in Cyprus.
Put the manual off, do it quickly. Do it quickly. Do it quickly. Do all the things you need to do. I'll just drive. Okay.
Searing sun caused his engine to overheat. The Englishman retired for the first time this year. Handing his title rivals the chance to capitalise. Colin McRae seized his chance and put in a great performance. He finished 4th. But it was even better from Loeb, 3rd place, big points, and tarmac in Germany up next. Things are looking good for this Frenchman, and his Citroën team were more than pleased. Another 206, another mechanical problem. Harry Rovanpera was leading when his gearbox failed, but he still finished 2nd. But it wasn't a French car that took victory in Cyprus. There was a superb performance from the man up front. Staying out of trouble, Peter Solberg guided his Subaru around the rough stages to bring it home in 1st place, over 4 minutes ahead of the chasing pack. That was Solberg's first win of the season, and only the 2nd of his career, but he did it in style. And Solberg's win puts another spin on the standings. He's now a major contender. Next up, Rally Germany. Based around the country's oldest city, Trier, this is a totally unique event. 3 different regions means 3 different challenges. There's hairpin-filled vineyards, world-famous military stages, and then there's Saarland, 100-kilometre-plus stages where the temptation to cut corners could spell danger. There was plenty for the thousands of fans to get excited about. Armin Schwartz is their local hero. And it was the first chance to get a look at the Skoda Fabia. And it wasn't a great debut, both were out by day 2. This was the first outing of the new Ford Focus on tarmac, and it was a familiar story for Marco Martin. He took an early lead, and then the Focus hit trouble. Martin lost his top 2 gears, with hundreds of hairpins to tackle. That's really bad news. It was an eventful 3 days for Peter Solberg too. The Norwegian has yet to win on tarmac, and Germany proved to be a steep learning curve. Still, his efforts were rewarded with 1 point. Carlos Sainz is one of the most experienced drivers in the WRC, but even a 2-time world champion can be caught out by these tricky German roads. But the Spaniard finished in the points once again, keeping the pressure on Richard Burns. Another 4th place finish means Colin McRae is still in the fight, but he's going to need a victory soon if he's to stay there. As expected, it was Sébastien Loeb who was leading the way for Citroën. Not good news for Peugeot. Loeb was faster than Peugeot's tarmac expert Gilles Panizzi. And Loeb was faster than Richard Burns. But there was one Peugeot which was laying down the challenge for Loeb, and that was Marcus Gronholm. Loeb fought hard to hold him off, And Gronholm pushed hard to catch him, but was caught out himself. The mistake didn't cost much time, but it did cost Gronholm his chance of victory. It's hard to believe that this is Loeb's first full WRC season. His second win of the year proves he's the new tarmac king. So maximum points for Loeb is a real boost for him and the team, but once again Richard Burns is on the podium and ahead of Carlos Sainz. Hold on to your seats, you're about to see the fast and furious fun that is the WRC Rally Finland. The spectacular Finnish countryside has roller coaster roads that boast the biggest jumps in the world. With his championship chances becoming more and more remote, Colin McRae was pushing hard. Ending the rally in the trees is bad news for McRae, as his future with Citroën has been put in doubt. That's because each team can only have 2 drivers next year, and Carlos Sainz has done a great job for the team. But in Finland, the Spaniard struggled. The drive seems to have gone out of Tommi Mäkinen. With no chance of the title this season, there were rumours flying the Finn was considering retiring. 10th was all he could manage. There's a bright future ahead for this Finn though. Peugeot confirmed Harry Rovanperä will join Marcus Gronholm full-time in the team next year. But it didn't change his luck. The hot favourite for this event was Marcus Gronholm, and he really needed the win if he's to start next year still with the number 1 on his door. It didn't look like too big a knock, but it cost Gronholm his wheel.
We have something broken in the front and we still have 5 kilometers to go. Something went broken.
Retirement was inevitable. Thrilling his fans, Petter Solberg was chasing Burns for second. Stage by stage, Solberg nudged closer to Burns until, on the very last stage, Burns' lead was cut to just 2 seconds. With only a few kilometres left, could Burns afford to go all out and risk a mistake? But there was no fight for the man in front. Marko Martin is from Estonia, just across the Baltic Sea, and these stages are like home to him. He was cool under pressure, and the car worked perfectly to bring Marko home over a minute ahead.
155 left, get in there.
Martin's win means another maximum points haul for the Ford driver. Second place is great for Solberg. Another podium place keeps Burns on top in the Drivers' Championship, but it's all over for Tommi Mäkinen. Just after Rally Finland ended, Tommi Mäkinen confirmed he was waving goodbye to the World Rally Championship. For round 10, it's another visit to the other side of the world. Perth in Western Australia is the home to a unique event. The gravel is like ball bearings, and it makes it very slippery and very fast. For the retiring Tommi Mäkinen, Rally Australia would turn into a battle with his 2 oldest rivals, Colin McRae and Carlos Sainz. Sainz was lucky to escape this moment and stay in the fight, but the Citroëns would get the better of the Subaru in this particular battle of former world champions. Mäkinen finished 6th, with Sainz and McRae above him. Meanwhile, it was bad news for the reigning champion. This was Gronholm's last hope of holding on to his title, and the Finn was leading when he got caught out by the slippery conditions. He buried his Peugeot and his championship chances, and 2004 would have a new number 1. Gronholm's departure left Sebastian Loeb in the lead. Already so impressive on tarmac, he continued his outstanding form on gravel too. But it wasn't an easy ride with both Petter Solberg and Marco Martin on his tail. Martin was in fourth when bad luck struck. During a tyre change, the strap holding down the spare wheel had snapped. He used the rocks to weigh the wheel down. That's against the rules, and he was disqualified. That left a straight fight between Loeb and Solberg. All through the rally, just a few seconds separated the pair. Solberg loves a good fight, and Loeb was in his sights. First he cut the gap to 2.5 seconds, and then down to 1. But Loeb fought back. He showed Solberg he's not daunted by pressure and set 2 fastest stage times to go into the final day with a 5-second lead. This was shaping up to be one of the greatest contests of the season. And it was Solberg who took first blood on the morning's first stage. He was blisteringly fast and caught and passed Loeb, but the gap was only half a second. Loeb wasn't letting go on the next stage. He snatched his lead back. This was thrilling stuff. Solberg only had 2 stages left to catch his rival, and he was determined top honours would be his. He was devastating, and there was nothing Loeb could do. Solberg took the lead again and really stamped his mark on Rally Australia, winning it by half a minute.
I don't know if you're done, we were -8 just 4 kilometers ago.
It has been a great fight to watch and a great one to take part in.
It's the 5th time I say no. Really good fun. Really good fun.
But what of championship leader Richard Burns? He had a steady drive and kept out of trouble, finishing 3rd and earning 6 points, extending his lead to the championship. The success of Solberg and Loeb puts a whole new complexion on the championship. They are now serious contenders. There was shock news before the Rally San Remo started. Hyundai announced they were withdrawing from the championship immediately, intending to return in 2005. For the other teams, this autumn rally is a tricky test of slippery surfaces and hundreds of hairpins. It's all about tyres, brakes and bravery. And you need to be brave, because an off here can be big. Just watch Tony Gardemeister. The Finn, who's never finished this rally, retired on day 1. Richard Burns was in trouble too. On the most crucial rally of his season, he was off the pace and out of the points. Petter Solberg has never won on tarmac, but his confidence was so high, anything's possible. However, it all went wrong in San Remo. As he was heading back to service, his Subaru ground to a halt with a fuel problem. It was a long push to service, but Solberg and Mills' efforts were in vain. Retirement for the Norwegian. Carlos Sainz was going well, with Burns way down the leaderboard and Solberg out. He just needed to go steady. Trouble-free run saw him finish 4th with more valuable points. As expected, it was Sainz's teammate Sebastian Loeb who set the pace. Marco Martin was determined to give him a fight, but autumn leaves clogged up his air intake, overheating the engine. Emergency repairs in service saw Martin come out fighting. Back on stage, he proved just what he could do, setting 2 fastest times. But Loeb rose to the challenge. He took the next 2 stages, ending the first day 2.5 minutes ahead. Day 2, though, belonged to Martin. He was fastest on all of the day's stages, a remarkable performance which closed the gap to 43 seconds. A great fight was in prospect for the final day. But it was over before it began. An electrical problem meant Martin left service late, earning a 30-second time penalty and almost certainly meaning he had finished behind Loeb. But there was more bad luck to come for the Estonian when the heavens opened. Thinking it would be drier out on the stages, most drivers chose slick tyres, but not local man Gilles Panizzi. He took an intermediate, and it was a gamble that would have an unbelievable reward. Because when the cars got to the mountains, the roads were very wet. Driving in these conditions on slick tyres is like driving on an ice rink. Marcus Gronholm was first to find out just how bad it was. He was gunning for 3rd when he had this smash. Any hope of retaining his title was over. Now all Peugeot's hopes rested with Panizzi, and on intermediate tyres, he left the opposition standing. Martin just couldn't hold Panizzi off. Out of nowhere, the Frenchman snatched 2nd place. Bad news for Ford, but great news for Peugeot. But there was no question of who would win. Loeb had built such a big lead he couldn't be caught. Carefully guiding his Citroën to safety, he took a well-deserved victory. 3 out of 3 wins on tarmac with 2 tarmac rallies to go. Loeb is now looking really good for the world title. 7th place for Richard Burns and maximum points for Loeb means the Peugeot Drivers' Championship lead is cut to 2 points. The Mediterranean island of Corsica is home to the next round of the WRC. Sometimes called the Rally of 10,000 Corners, this is a tight and twisty tarmac test. There was drama before the rally even began. Peter Solberg smashed up his Subaru on shakedown. With the car and his pride dented, his mechanics had to work through the night to get his battered car into the competition. But it wasn't a great start for Solberg. Early on, his gearbox developed a problem, another headache for his exhausted mechanics, who had to do one of the trickiest fixes in the sport in just 20 minutes. Meanwhile, there was a familiar battle taking place up ahead. Carlos Sainz settled into 3rd, but it was his teammate Sebastian Loeb who was gunning for the lead. Marco Martin was in front for a while, but a spin lost him the lead, and his rally eventually ended with this dramatic off. Loeb was in front, but there was still a Ford on his tail. This time it belonged to the young Belgian Francois Duval. And by the end of the first day, he was just 4 seconds off his Citroën rival. But day 2 would prove to be a completely different ballgame. Overnight the rains had come, and once again this would be a day won and lost in tyre choice. The only driver who welcomed the news was Peter Solberg. His Pirellis were best suited for the conditions, and he knew a remarkable comeback could be on the cards. On the day's first stage, he jumped up 2 places to 5th. All the good work Sebastian Loeb had done on the first day was undone in the rain on the second. The beached Citroën took over 10 minutes to get back on the road, and there was no chance Loeb could leave with points. Francois Duval now held the rally lead, and all he had to do was hold off Carlos Sainz, who was just behind. But more threatening still, Peter Solberg, who continued leaping up the leaderboard and was now into 3rd. It was a superb drive from the Norwegian. First he took Sainz, and then Duval. Solberg took his first tarmac win, and it was all down to his mechanics. So confirmation then of Solberg's amazing win, while Sainz took Duval for 2nd. Richard Burns only managed 8th in Corsica and loses the championship lead to Carlos Sainz. Spain is Carlos Sainz country. No other sportsman is more adored by his home fans, and thousands turn out just to watch him on this spectacular event. This is a tarmac rally like no other. These Spanish roads are wide and flowing, and sparks fly as corners are cut. Peter Solberg was the early pace setter, but his lead was short-lived. An alternator problem means he left service late and got a 50-second time penalty, leaving him with another huge comeback on his hands. Tyres ended Marcus Gronholm's chances, who'd chosen too soft a compound for the early stages and was left with no grip whatsoever. In the other Peugeot, Richard Burns was only too aware that his title chances were in serious danger. Once more, he was off the pace and then off the road. No points for Burns. In the 3rd Peugeot, Gilles Panizzi was showing his greatest form of the year. His job is to salvage Peugeot's manufacturer's chances, and it was looking good. The tarmac expert really got into his rhythm and was challenging the leaders, who included Carlos Sainz. He had a great first day and was second, but then he changed his settings. That spoilt his feeling. He lost time, enough for Martin to take second, and then for Panizzi to relegate him to fourth. Once again, it was Loeb who was rally leader and on to take the outright lead in the championship. But there was no chance to relax because the dogfight between Martin and Panizzi was hotting up so much they were eating into his lead. Marco Martin was finding it difficult. His neck was very painful after his crash in Corsica. He found himself entering the final day not chasing the lead, but trying to keep Panizzi at bay. Then it was all change on the last day when the rain came lashing down. Great news for Solberg, who seized the chance to make his comeback. He started the day out of the points and ended at fifth. His title hopes very much alive. Now Panizzi was hoping for the kind of rainy comeback that brought him second in San Remo. In fact, second would be gifted to him. Martin's brakes failed and it was easy for Panizzi to take him. Now his sights were set on Loeb, who did Panizzi a big favour. He chose the wrong tyre. It was a matter of honour for this particular Frenchman to take a tarmac win this year. He seized his chance and took Loeb on the final stage for victory. Panizzi claims 10 points for victory, while Loeb has to settle for 8. But that's enough to give him the championship lead. So this is it, the climax to the 2003 World Rally Championship, Wales Rally GB. Before the event began, there was shocking news. Richard Burns had to pull out of the event for medical reasons. A bitter disappointment for the man who led the championship for most of the season, and a huge upset for his thousands of fans, who also suffered the heartache, saying goodbye to 4-time world champion and rally legend Tommi Mäkinen. And it wasn't long into the event until the championship turned into a 2-horse race. Carlos Sainz had a big smash and his first retirement of the year. There was to be further revelations back at service when the Spaniard announced his retirement at the end of next year. Although Marcus Gronholm's pace notes were clearly marked logs, he still hit them. Retirement once again for the outgoing world champion. Marco Martin also came to these gravel stages hotly tipped to win, but it was the Focus that was hot. The engine overheated on the first morning and the Estonian was out. That left Sebastian Loeb and Petter Solberg fighting it out for victory and the championship. Loeb took the early lead, but Solberg thrilled his fans by snatching it back on the first afternoon. Behind them, there was a great battle going on between two rally legends. Tommi Mäkinen was heading for the podium. He battled to hold off the WRC's other departing star, Colin McRae. Although Colin may not be going for good, 2004 will be a sabbatical year for the Scot. But on his last rally for a while, and he was really enjoying the fight with Tommi. He had a flawless run until the very last stage, when a puncture shredded his tyre, forced him to stop to change the wheel. Worrying times for the Citroën team. Hearing the news broke Tommi Mäkinen's concentration and nearly ended his rally. McRae made it safely to the end, and that meant Citroën were guaranteed the manufacturer's title. Next over the line, Tommi Mäkinen. Knowing he'd been lucky, he was just pleased to be on the podium. Loeb was so far behind Solberg, the only hope the Frenchman had to become world champion was for Solberg to make a mistake or have a problem. It was a nervous ride through Margam Park, but Solberg finished the rally and the championship in style, winning the stage and becoming the new world champion.
Go to the control, buddy.
Petter Solberg, you are this year's World Rally Champion. How do you feel?
It's incredible. I'm completely knackered. It's been a very hard rally, a very hard year. We had so many ups and so many downs, and it's just very good fun for the whole team and Subaru, Pirelli. And at the same time, Tommy, his last rally, and came third. I'm very, very happy for him, very happy. And this victory, I think, is for Tommy for his last, because he has been an incredible friend for me.
And what about all these fans? It's just superb here. What a great atmosphere.
It's so many thousand people around, you know, and so much good support. Thank you, everybody. This has been my biggest dream in the whole world. And to my brother, who's sitting at home there in studio, you know. I did it, Henning.
What did it feel like crossing that finishing line?
I don't know. I tried to forget the whole World Championship the whole week. I got it back a little bit this morning, you know, started to think a little bit about it, but I got my feet down on the floor. I must say, this is the best ever in my whole life, after my son, Oliver.
Well done.
Thank you, thank you.
Solberg wins his 4th rally of the year and deserves the title of World Rally Champion. And this is how the championship finishes. Solberg wins by just 1 point from Loeb, while the retiring Tommy Mäkinen ends his last ever season in 8th. And great performances from the 3 Citroën drivers see the French team take the manufacturer's title in their first ever full WRC season. And there was more celebrating for Petter Solberg later on that day. He was awarded the very first Inmarsat Star of the Season award. 2003 has been one of the best seasons ever, but the WRC promises to get even better. Next year there's more rounds and the competition promises to be more fierce. It all starts again in Monte Carlo next January. Make sure you don't miss it.